for today, I want to remove this whole piece. As you can see, the mesh itself is kind of scraped up. All the paint's missing, and then the louvers underneath, you can kind of see, are all also faded. So I want to take care of that. Plus, these little cracks right here, I also want to take care of that. Luckily, that's the only areas where there's cracks, but unfortunately, this piece, from what I've been told, is discontinued. So what I want to do is try to see if I can fix this, try to restore it, at least get it back together. I got some epoxy, and I'm going to try to use some epoxy to see if I can seal that up and then sand it down and paint it. And then hopefully I'll have a piece that looks like brand new. So there's some spring clips I already removed from the sides here. But what else I need to do is remove these from all four corners. Then I, at some point, need to remove these from the insulation also. And then, of course, there's the one in the center, and the one in the center here, one over here. So there's a lot of them. All right, now that I have all that out of the way, I just have to undo these nuts and then slide this whole thing up. Looks like it's already missing one nut, but it also kind of looks like it might have been stripped a little bit. It's hard to tell in the, yeah, it looks like it might have been stripped at some point. So that's the next step. Okay, so I have all the nuts off of there, so now should be able to just raise this completely right up, remove it, or maybe not. All right, so I had to kind of pry it up from underneath a little bit, but now here it comes. Now what I'm also going to do before reinstalling everything is kind of go through and kind of clean up that whole area. And just for now, I might try to stick something across here just to prevent, say, animals or something from crawling in there. All right, so I kind of wiped down the dirt stuff off of that. Just use a little spray bottle and a microfiber cloth. From there, I have this, which is basically like the plastic that you put down on carpeting to protect it. So what I'm going to do is try to cut a little strip at least, even if it doesn't fill up the entire thing, just enough to try to keep at least cats or something from crawling in here. All right, that should work. Again, my main focus is just to kind of keep large animals from crawling inside here, because now it's just a big gaping void. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the trim pieces, take them inside, start to sand them, and then I'll start repainting them. So for this piece, I think I'm going to use a semi-gloss black. I'm using engine paint because it's supposed to be a little bit higher temperature, so it should be able to withstand the heat and everything and not fade as quick. This is the underside of the hood, and of course this is the side that you see through the hood scoop. Now what I'm going to do first is wipe it down, kind of clean it up, probably use like alcohol, rubbing alcohol on it. Then I'll take like a Scotch-Brite pad, just kind of scuff it up a little bit so that I can have the ability to get good adhesion. And then I got a little bit of cardboard that I set up on the ground. I'm just going to paint this inside. It's kind of cold outside. It's not the greatest weather, so this is going to be an indoor job. All right, while that other piece is drying on the top side, I'm going to start to see what I can do about kind of filling in these cracks so that I can get this prepped, hopefully to get painted. There's a couple other little imperfections, so I'm going to sand this thing down first, like with a Scotch-Brite. I'm going to kind of get rid of all the debris, try to sand it all down first. And then I got 2-part epoxy. I'm gonna kind of fill in these areas The epoxy, I think, takes, according to this, it takes 5 minutes to set, cures in 1 hour. So what I'm going to do is let it cure completely and then start sanding it down and hopefully get it so it's invisible. And then from there, I'm also going to repaint this because obviously the mesh is pretty worn off, like all the paint's missing on it. So that's the next step. All right, so while I don't know if it's going to focus, but while hitting it with the Scotch-Brite, I did notice a couple other little areas across here where it looks like the trim is a little scratched up. So I'm also going to get some sandpaper or a sanding block, probably something like this, and just try to get some of that stuff a little smoother to kind of get rid of that, so that when I paint it, it looks uniform. It looks like nothing's ever been done. Alright, what I'm trying to do is get this to sink down inside the cracks. Kind of fill in some of the voids so I can sand it down and get it nice and smooth. At this point, I'm just more worried about just trying to keep the structure stiff. As far as the appearance, not as worried right now because I will sand it and paint over it. So now I'm going to let that cure, and again, it should take about an hour. So I'm going to let that cure for an hour, and then hopefully in an hour I can finish with the process of sanding it and then painting it, and hopefully it will look like nothing's ever been wrong with this piece from the start. Now, just to let you guys know, in case anyone's wondering why I'm bothering to fix this, these pieces, this mesh piece, is a discontinued part from Mitsubishi. You can't go to a dealership and buy this part anymore. Not really sure why. It kind of seems like this is a part that should be available, because anyone who has a car that has a damaged hood or something might need this part, but apparently they're no longer available. All right, this is after 2 coats of the semi-gloss. Now, I'm not sure if I should do semi-gloss now or if I should have gone with flat. I do have flat also, but I think I might stick with the semi-gloss. It's a little shinier than I really expected it to be, but we'll see once it's fully dried what it looks like then. Alright, as you can see, that's the under portion, the part that you see under the hood. This is the top portion. So the engine paint looks really good. Came out pretty decent. Alright, as you can see, kind of filled in the cracks there. Now what I'm going to do is use probably a kind of a filler primer, just to try to get any remaining surface defects smoothed out. And then as soon as I'm done with that, then I will, as soon as I get the cracks pretty much to disappear, the next step will be then to paint it with the final coat, which is again going to be engine paint but semi-gloss. Alright, one other thing I'm going to do while I'm waiting for all that to dry and cure, one thing I want to do is remove this heat shield and actually repaint that too, along with the washers and all that stuff. And then another thing is battery hold down. That thing's rusty, and really want to pull that off and sand that and get rid of the rust and everything on that. So everything will look kind of new when I open up the hood. Alright, so this heat shield obviously has seen better days. What I'm going to do is again sand this down, get rid of all the rust, and then I'm going to also use I have some flat finish engine paint, so I'm also going to spray that on onto this. Then afterwards, I do have, this is the battery tie down. I really need to get rid of the corrosion on that, and then sand those down, and then also paint those. Alright, so for this one, I'm actually going to use the Dremel with a wire brush just to kind of get rid of a lot of the corrosion. At some point I will have to replace this piece altogether. You can see there's areas like right in here where, I mean, it's got a hole in it, so it's definitely seen better days, but I can still use this. I mean, it's just a battery tie down, so it's not gonna be moving around too much, but I'm gonna at least use this to kind of clean up some of the areas. Alright, so I got all these parts painted and ready to put back in the car. Also got the shield for underneath. Unfortunately for the actual vent section, this paint, I kind of forgot about it, but this paint, you only have a certain amount of time to do your coats, and if you wait too long and you do another coat, it will start to kind of wrinkle up. So it looks like I'm going to have to let it cure, and then probably tomorrow I'm going to have to start sanding it all back down and repaint it. Yeah, unfortunately this is what happens when you spray this paint a little too long. If you wait too long or whatever to paint it in between coats, you start to get this like textured finish. And what will happen is if I sand this down and try to paint it now, it will actually start doing this even more. So what I have to do is wait 24 hours, wait for it to completely cure, and then I'm going to have to sand this all down, get it all smooth, and then paint it again. Alright, so I finally got this painted. What I ended up doing because of the paint wrinkling up is I actually stripped off all the paint and started again from scratch. Now what I ended up doing is I painted this the flat color. I just did the last coat on here, so it looks shiny right now, but hopefully by the morning it should be kind of back to a little bit less of a gloss. So see what it looks like. There's still little, like you can see like right here, little indications of where those cracks were, but the good part is at least it's all together. It's one piece again. It's not broken in half, and it's hopefully not going to get any worse. So I got the trim all done. Now for the reinstallation. All right, hood trim is on. Now for the heat shield part. And now finally, let's put this on. So everything's back together. I think I'm gonna try to get 2 more of these, because these, unfortunately, there's like an insert in the hood that kind of that holds those into place, and the insert looks like it kind of came out. So right now these two don't actually screw into anything, but it's back into place, and as soon as I close the hood, you'll see the final product on the other side. Now also got the heat shield repainted, and also the battery tray, or the battery hold down, is also repainted. So overall, looks a lot better than it did before. And here's the final product. No more faded paint, and no more cracks. And as always, subscribe, like, comment. Thank you for watching.